we talked about business process recovery, facility recovery, supply and technology recovery, and now we'll just quickly look at the user environment recovery issues. If you think about it, the user environment is like one of the most important because they're the ones who's carrying out the tasks. So to be able to reconstruct the necessary network or the resources, that means you have to understand it. And it may sound silly, but just like most organizations don't understand how they work overall because there's so many different components that have to come together, a lot of companies actually don't fully understand how their network works. And because when the network was built, usually maybe it started 10 years ago. And then from there, it's constantly been built upon, it's constantly gotten bigger. Whoever was there 10 years ago most likely isn't maintaining it now. There's new software, there's new technology. So a lot of companies don't fully understand how their full network works. And what's important is to understand what supplies or what technology of that network that does have to come up. It's not because you're not going to rebuild the whole network at an offsite facility. You will need to rebuild the network when you go back to the primary facility or your near facility. So the environment needs to be documented. The configurations of software, the network schematic, which is one thing that most companies allow to go out of date. You've got to understand something if you're going to be in a position to rebuild it. Now the users, they are going to carry out most of the work, so you need to make sure that they can get back to work as soon as possible. And one of the things is to understand some of the tasks that they carry out through automation if they could be done manually. A lot of times you'll need to find some type of manual way that replaces automation until you can get the automation up and running. So then we'll look at the actual data recovery technologies. And as I said, that today really the goal, the assets that companies need to protect is data. And there's several different technologies that can be put in place to be able to back up sensitive data or any type of data and recover it. So the data recovery technologies we'll look at co-location, actual backups, which will be manual and through automation, electronic vaulting, remote journaling, tape vaulting, which could be manual or through automation, clustering, which will actually hit clustering again in operations, and disk shadowing. So we'll walk through each one of these, and you just have to know the basic functionalities of how they work.